Kate Assaraf. So great to have you here on the Grow Your Wealth podcast. How are you today?
I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm good. What a pleasure to have you here. I know today we're going to deep dive into how you have really grown your brand Dip in just 18 months time from a startup hair care brand to a 7-figure running business. We're going to get into all of that here in just a moment, but I know getting to know you a little bit more, you have shared that every overnight success only took years in the making. You have had a lot of history working in the beauty industry. Start us off there. Like, what was your experience like? And take us to that point when you decided, like, I'm going to start a brand of my own.
So the beauty industry was just one of these, I didn't know. So my background's in economics and math, and I did not know that I wanted to enter the beauty industry. I just knew that I did that kind of calculation is like, if you're going to choose a career, it's got to be in something that you can talk about all the time, every day. And I mean, that same advice goes to founders, like start a business that you will never get tired talking about. For me, that very single lane is hair. But I found the beauty industry as one of these kind of enchanting things when I was in my early 20s. I was like, this is like a very cool way to use like what I've learned about, because a lot of the beauty industry is not the photography. It's not the models. It's like managing a P&L. It's like really understanding like the cost of goods and understanding how many you need to sell to be able to run a marketing campaign. And that was in the early mid 2000s. Like that was what was really alluring to me is learning not only, the glitz and glamour and how marketing worked, but also the guts and the pieces behind the scenes. And so, it's unbelievable to see like in beauty, how much of the cost of a product is actually like the bottle or the component is what they call it. Like the thing that the stuff goes into. And then also seeing that other side of the beauty industry, because I was behind the scenes in photo shoots and live, that kind of QVC style selling where you would see the kinds of tricks that beauty companies would play to show live before and afters that weren't real at all. They were all fabricated. And so, I learned a lot in those early 20 years, but I also learned a lot about what I would never want to do with my own company.
That's really amazing. And tell us about the Dip brand. I think it's so cool. Like, especially your efforts surrounding sustainability, which, you and I both know too, that like sustainability and clean beauty and terms like that, they really get greenwashed. They really get thrown around. And in some ways, like sometimes the industry is also like kind of, steering away from those words, I think because it's been so overused in a way that isn't authentic to the brand is. You've been very vocal about like, no, we are legit a sustainable brand. What does that mean for your brand and why was that important to you?
Well, first of all, in marketing, and I don't know whether you've experienced this in PR, but in marketing, the conventional wisdom is to talk to everyone as if they're in 5th grade. Like essentially what you're saying is talk to every adult like they're an idiot. And I don't meet too many idiots in real life. I meet like really smart, sharp, witty women everywhere I go. It's only on the internet that I see the idiots kind of bubble to the surface, but in real life, every woman I know is just incredible in their own regard. Like I always call people, human beings are prismatic and I think marketing should treat them as such. Like, and marketing doesn't behind the scenes, right? When you distill people down into data points, you lose a lot about what makes human beings exciting or motivated to purchase or any of those things. And I see that in sustainability too. Like, my biggest frustration was treating the sustainable audience as if they were all the same, as if anyone who cared about the planet also was like, churning their own butter and making their own granola and like, and wearing only linen and being like a preachy person about all of that. Like, yes, there's a market for that avatar, but in real life, if you close off all the data points and close off all the things, like in real life, you go to the beach or you go to a PTA meeting or you go to literally any group setting and you're not meeting that type of person, but literally everyone cares about the planet. Everyone. You could stop 100 people on the street and you're like, hey, are you worried about the earth in 10, 20 years? And they'll be like, yes. And so what my frustration with sustainability was that it was so directed at a consumer that I perceive as very niche, or like or kind of non-existent in real life, a very performative type of sustainability person, and not to everyone else who just wants to kind of save the planet but have a good time and feel good about it, instead of feeling like, you know, all of the doom and gloom, I guess.
Yeah.
And so with Dip, I made it so that the bars, my goal was for someone to be accidentally sustainable. So I made the bars so good and they save you so much money if you're using luxury hair care, that the plastic free part wasn't part of the story. And with that, I was able to have like a little bit of freedom to be a little bit more silly with the brand and be a little bit more upfront about things, and to really tell people that sustainability changes all the time. The rules, the attitudes, everything changes. So you can't be a brand drawing hard lines in the sand on everything and then I don't know, treat your audience as if like you kind of gaslight them when things change, you know?
I love that you say that too, like that accidentally stumbling upon sustainability, because, you know, I'm a consumer as well, as we all are. And it can be really overwhelming just to know, like, what can I do to help? What can I do to start? Right. And like, I've worked with clients in the past, and particularly in the skincare, and they're like, our boxes will now be printed with squid ink. And we're like, super, I'm like, what? How are we going to do, like, do people care about squid ink? Like, I don't know that people are seeking that out per se, but to your point, especially when you're thinking about scaling a brand in such a competitive category, are people really buying it because it is first and foremost sustainable? Or are they buying it because I can see your hair is absolutely glorious? Like, that's what they want. They want the result. And if they can feel good about it at the same time, know that like, okay, yeah, as part of this, I'm also doing my part, you know, accidentally, so to speak, and lessening waste and things like that on the planet. That's pretty brilliant. I love that.
Thank you. Well, have you ever been at a party where there's like a group of women having a good time and then there's like one Debbie Downer? Just like, like I didn't want my brand to be. Hair is fun. Hair is expression. Like I'm Iranian, so my parents left Iran and raised me here. And the expression of hair is like a freedom I don't take lightly. And it's just something to celebrate. And I absolutely think it's the most fun part of my routine. You know, I could wear a tank top and jeans every day, but if my hair looks good, like then I'm set. And I don't think that that's unique to me. I think that a lot of women feel that way, but I find that the sustainable crew, or the sustainable brands, I'm going to say if we're at a party and the sustainable brand is attending, they're constantly making everyone feel bad about the other choices that they make. So say like, I don't want it to be that you switch to Dip and then you suddenly are like, you know, now I have to change everything, or I can't let Dip know that I also secretly like to put like the Orbe hair oil in my hair, or any of those things. Like I want people to know that as a brand, we'll meet you where you are. And we want, and I think there's joy in sustainability. Like being sustainable can be fun. It can be like full of joy, and it can be inspiring to make the changes instead of that horrible weight of guilt sitting on your shoulders about the earth.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of fun, I think that you have infused fun so well in your branding, your packaging, obviously, even on your socials and on your website. We're going to talk about, you know, starting the business and scaling the business and all of the fun number stuff here in a moment. I would love to know, with your background, especially too, how important do you think brand really is when it comes to not just starting a business, right? Anybody can like put a beautiful package together, but not every package is going to sell, right? And not every package is going to be true to what's inside of it. Tell us about how you kind of navigated that. Like, was that, did the importance of that come later, or was that like one of those non-negotiables that you had up front?
Non-negotiable. I've been in beauty for a very long time. So, you know, in the beauty industry specifically, and my husband also has been in the beauty industry for a long time. So he does our packaging. He did our logo.
Good job.
Yeah, he did. Like the two of us work really well because our skills don't overlap. Anyway, but I think that the brand is really the part that gets people just okay, performance aside, you have to make something that is amazing. Otherwise, people don't care. But then the brand part is you have to make someone really proud to use your brand in order for it to organically grow, like human to human. I think there's something very important about branding that often gets overlooked, or people are trying to take shortcuts in their branding. And I don't think that's wise. I think that you can see, and that happens a lot. You can see like 10 brands on a shelf of shampoo and conditioner bars. People are gravitated towards dip, unless they're the type of sustainable person that just prefers everything in brown packaging and they think that that's what makes it closer to the earth. I'll tell you, that's not true. A lot of people put things in brown or green packaging to just kind of seduce that kind of customer. Because there is this weird like thing where if it looks more boring, it must be closer to the earth, and it couldn't be further from the truth. Sometimes that's just a private equity firm knowing what your behavior is, and so I think for me anyway, it was a non-negotiable to not make the brand part, because the brand part is what allows you to have fun and tell a story.
Absolutely. And did you do like any sort of research, like consumer research, testing with the brand? Like I know even in and of my own business, like, we straddle the lines of brand and PR, obviously, because I think brand is very important when you're making that first impression, whether it's with journalists or with consumers. But oh man, it is a commitment, right? Like, and especially when you're shipping, I think I read you're already in like 400 plus retailers nationwide. Like, I mean, everybody goes through a rebrand, but what an effort that is. And I understand why people oftentimes drag their feet on that too. Like, did you survey people? What was that process like, other than like you as the founder being like, yes, this is it? Were there any other indications that you made the right choice with your branding?
We took our time with our branding. So Jonathan, my husband, and I, we've been in marketing and branding for so long in the beauty category. And so, but we were not in the sustainable category really. So like, we took what we knew about what sells at mass. Like he and I have both worked on brands that have sold at Target, Ulta, Sephora, Walmart, Amazon. We know what entices a consumer to shop with their eyes. And that is just like, something that we have fun with because we just love brand. But actually our brand is almost, it's like a dog whistle to elder millennials and Gen X, because it's based off of Sweet Valley High. I don't know if you know Sweet Valley High, but like Sweet Valley High, when I was 12, I waited in line in a mall to have the author, Francine Pascal, like sign. I waited for hours to have her sign my Sweet Valley High books. And like, it was the covers of Sweet Valley High that really made me fall in love with hair. There's like, they always like some dramatic cover, and it's like, double dares, like that. I don't know. And so for me, I wanted elder millennials, and in a world where everyone's trying to market to Gen Z, I love Gen Z. I think they're like probably the most unhinged generation ever, but I like love them for it. And they're really special in their own way. But everyone is trying to get in sustainability, is trying to get like the younger consumer. But I'm like a mother. I shop for my family. I think about how much of the weight of the world and saving the world and reducing plastic is put on mothers. And I wanted that to be like my little dog whistle to mothers and women between like 35 and 50, that this brand is like, we got you.
Yeah.
And so that's like a little piece of the brand that is like very dear to my heart, that when people come in that don't recognize Sweet Valley High, like they don't get it. And they criticize me for some of the branding. And I'm like, it's not for you. And that is okay. Like, this is a very specific little nod to people my age. And I'm not taking it off because you don't understand it, or you seem to think it's confusing to other people.
I think that is so important, right? Like, I think part of the kind of risk of starting a brand is that there are going to be risks and there are going to be criticisms. And we say it all the time in PR, like those that have the strongest, clearest perspective are the ones that really persevere, right? Because there will be people out there and like trolls and whatever, like, no, 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 you need to blend in, or this isn't what I expected, right? And it's like, no, that's the point, right?
That's
like,
the whole point.
yeah.
I don't want to. I often get like these people, they're trying to sell a service, like they redesign our website and then they take away the Sweet Valley High thing immediately. Oh, they all do it, And I'm like, I know your intentions were good, but your intentions are where your work product is sanitizing everything that makes the brand cool. And because it doesn't speak to you doesn't mean it doesn't very, very heavily grab the attention of the people who it was made for. And I'm cool not having Dip be a brand for that everyone's emotionally attached to, but the people that are in it and do discover it, like they are attached. And it's probably the most fun part about being a founder and taking those risks is finding that group of people that is like, I also care about the earth, but I'm also like a little bit offbeat and weird. And I was also, I'm also kind of like an older woman that is doing this for my family. I don't know. It's a lot of Venn diagrams at once, but they're ones that are really fun for me to meet.
Absolutely. And it sounds like you've like found a lot of your people with that brand as well too. When did you officially launch Dip?
So we launched in October of 2021.
Wow.
And I was very, very nervous to do. I think even as confident as you are in any brand that you build or any product that you make, it's always nerve-wracking to put it out into, the universe and see what the market actually says about it, because you really don't know. You really besides market research, you really just don't know how the actual public is going to respond. And it was great, but it could have gone the other way. I would have had to adjust after launching, but I obsessed over the products and I obsessed over the brand. And I did spend a lot of time making sure it was right before we launched.
So important. Would you feel comfortable taking us back to October 2021, the first 6 months of your launch? As the founder, what were you doing? Like tactically speaking, strategically speaking, like what does launching a beauty brand actually look like?
I don't mean to say this in like a weird way or whatever, but I had an unfair advantage. I feel through my network, like I've lived in many different cities and I've worked many different jobs, and I have a network of amazing people that were lined up to support me just directly. So our first week of Dip that we launched, we sold $30,000 worth right off the bat just through my own network.
That's amazing.
Yeah, thank you. I like to think that it's because of the way I've treated people my whole life, and people rallied me. The people I couldn't even believe, like professors I had in college, people I had known since kindergarten, like people at a restaurant job I had, like everyone rallied when I launched Dip. And when I think about that beginning point, is the most overwhelming sense of, when you're like flooded with like those happy tears, like that is what happened when I launched. And if there's any lesson I can pass forward to everyone else, it's like it's like that people remember how you make them feel, right? Like people do remember that, and they will line up to help you. And I also discovered that is a very New Jersey thing. People support in New Jersey harder than any other state is what I've learned. But it was incredibly overwhelming. And that first week boost and kind of like, and I get a little woo woo with like energy and love, like it really filled me up and motivated me to keep pushing it out. And so the first 6 months I spent a lot of time calling refill stores, because I knew that, I was up against like huge brands and also a lot of private equity fueled brands that were jumping on the trend of sustainability. But what my goal beyond hair was to get people to make like actual changes in their routine. And I felt that refill stores are the only places that like vetted other sustainable products for consumers. So I wanted my ideally, and this is like my vision board thing I was trying to manifest, was like, I want to use my website to get someone to go to a refill store to buy dip, support that entrepreneur that is in that local area, like really doing the grassroots work of getting people to jump on reducing their plastic. And then maybe that person would go and it would have like the target effect where they go in for dip, but also discover like 2, 3, 4 other swaps in their routine by accident, just by the nature of being there. So I really heavily focused on where I knew my frustrated customer was and how I could help the other entrepreneurs that I knew were like very much aligned with what I was the impact I was trying to make in the world.
Yeah. That's awesome. And it sounds like too, you were very focused, which I know a lot of entrepreneurs, we talk about this a lot on the show. Like it's so easy to have shiny object syndrome, especially when you're online, you're on socials and people are like, I did this, I did that. Here's how I scaled my business with like, some like social hack of the day or, micro meta ads and something new, as right? Like every other month. How did you stay so focused? I mean, because it sounds like you really put in the work in terms of working your network. And that's funny because it reminds me of that quote, like your network is your net worth, as well too. And then knowing that like, okay, you're one person, or at least when you started your business, maybe you had a small team, but you were like, okay, I'm just going to go straight for it. Right. And very different than what you've done in the past in your marketing life. How did you stay focused? Because you didn't know for sure if it was going to work, but it's clearly worked really well for you.
Yeah, it's only a triumph story now. Back I was still biting my nails and and applying press-ons, hoping that no one would notice how scared I was. Because a lot of it is like you just have to take some leaps of faith. But for me, I know that a lot of opportunities are not opportunities for you when opportunities come your way. A lot of times you have to be like, is this an opportunity for me or is this an opportunity for them? Like the person pitching it to you. And more often than not, if you just kind of like put it down on a piece of paper, you're like, what would I benefit from this? And what are they benefiting from having me on board? Talk to them, whatever it is. And more often than not, you can learn that an opportunity is more for that other person that approached you than it is for you. I think opportunities are the ones you kind of create yourself. There you can bank on those and you get less disappointed in if you're really hyper focused on the things that will work. I mean, not know will work, but like the things the opportunities you create for yourself bear a lot more fruit than someone coming out and being like, I have this shiny thing for you, or this path for you. And more often than not, I've discovered that it's not opportunities for you if someone else is approaching you. And I almost want that to be the default and then be like pleasantly surprised if that opportunity works out. But that's kind of my filtering system right now.
Yeah, I love that because I think that also kind of ties into something that I know even with my clients, we talk a lot about attraction versus pursuit and like how many of us, especially as business owners, do we get I get so many emails a day, like buy this, try that, let's get on a call. Like we can get this many sales calls for you. And I'm like, I don't want sales calls with random people. Like, I'm sorry, I'm busy. Like I want not, not to get woo woo as well too, but it's like, I want people to see in me and my brand, like those are my people and like come to us and want to work with us. Right. And that's why I talk a lot about how even though you're not talking about like formal PR or anything, but marketing is really about pursuit, right? Like going after the customers that you want. And, it's not to say that you didn't, lay that groundwork while introducing your brand to people, but like at first you might have to do that, but in the long run, eventually you want that to come back to you. Right. And so I love that you did that so elegantly and without any advertising. Now that is unusual for a CPG brand. Kate, did you decide in your business plan that you were like, we are not doing advertising, or you kind of were like, we don't actually need to do advertising?
Well, okay, at first it was kind of just because I was a marketer in my past life. Like I was like, what if we could build a word of mouth brand, because I was the thing I was frustrated about with sustainability was how phony it was. Like it was it was basically people like, fake UGC, fake like influencers that would pitch that would kind of hawk every version of a shampoo bar, let's just say, for example, and talk about how great it was. And I was like, I think, and I've always thought this, I think people are smarter than this. The women I know are freaking razor sharp. Like, I just don't know women who would fall for that. And maybe and I don't want to say fall for, because marketing is marketing. It's not fair to say like, oh, you fell for it.
Yeah.
But I knew, like, I could look at the ingredient deck on a set of shampoo and conditioner bars, or I could like, and I can know immediately whether it does what it says it does, and more often than not, I'm watching people like gush over these brands, and I'm like, I would never let that touch my hair, because if I didn't create dip, I would still be using luxury hair care in bottles. I have not found another brand that really does perform like luxury shampoo and conditioner. I just haven't. And even for my guests, I have Oribe in my shower because I don't expect them to use my bar. Like I don't know how to explain my frustration, but my frustration was like, what if I actually had only real customers on my feed? Like what would that look like? And what if I didn't do any incentivized reviews? What would that look like? Because it was like in the time of all of that kind of like, it was like the spray and pray kind of marketing that was happening in sustainability is like, I hope this catches on, or we can get this momentum moving enough that people think it's great. And you saw what it did was more damage to the sustainability movement than anything else, because people are like, I'm not buying another sustainable deodorant. I'm not spending another $14 on a sustainable deodorant that is not good. I'm not buying another hair care bar ever. I don't want to use a reusable whatever Q-tip. Like, that's not solving anything for me. It hurts,
Yeah.
So you're like watching in horror. You're like, there was like this time when it was like, oh my God, sustainability is like finally breaking through to mass. And then you saw people, like the audience, being like, no, I'm not doing this anymore. I'd rather have bottled stuff, disposable stuff, or whatever. So that was like kind of my love letter to our consumers, and also my little thing up, my little pat on the back. It's like, okay, no advertising, real people, authentic testimonials, and like, let's see what we can do. And more often than not, people were like, thank God, because I can't trust anything I see on the internet anymore. And that was cool that it worked, but it might not have worked. So I don't know.
You're like, but you're a walking example of it working. And, once you get to that point as well, too, right? Because there's building a business, and especially like your first 7 figures it's the hardest part, right? For most businesses, doors open up for you after that too. What I think is so interesting is that you've really kept like such an authentic path even since then, because you've gone on record to say that you were able to get to that point in just 18 months time, which is absolutely exceptional. Again, not with ads and
sounds exceptional.
Traditional.
It sounds exceptional. And I'm not going to take away that milestone for myself, but it's not exceptional when you realize how frustrated sustainable consumers are. Like, they're tired. I was one of them, because I was like, how many things am I going to buy and be disappointed by, like, in sustainability? And then just go back to my usual habits. Like, that emotion, that's like what I tapped into, because I was that person. Like, it was like, come on, like, stop selling me the same bar packaged in a different way with different branding. Like, I want something that is amazing. And like, when it came to dip, like, I hired a chemist I knew that worked with all different hair types and textures, but also someone I knew that had made luxury hair care products for, I can't say the brands but really like the prestigious brands that you instantly recognize. He had done a lot of the formulations behind those things that you see at Sephora and, in salons. And so I said to him, I was like, this is what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to have one set of bars for the whole family. I don't think different hair types helps a family because where are they going to store all these things?
Mm.
And I was like, I want it to be as effective as the stuff I'm using, if not better. Like it has to solve problems. It has to really perform. Otherwise, there's no point in going through the misery of starting a company in the first place, you know?
Yeah. Absolutely. So in that case then too, right? Like one can argue, Kate, that by getting into like more big box retail and so forth, that like you are helping your consumers, right? I'm also an elder millennial and I don't shop somewhere because I'm loyal to that store, but rather like the brands, right, that are in that store, so to speak. I know that in your past life, you have worked with some of these big box retailers and like your perspective and what you've done in terms of your path with Dip is very different. And you've managed success without a lot of those retailers as well, too. Was that accidental or was that intentional too? And could you tell us about like distribution? Because that is probably one of the toughest nuts to crack.
Yeah. So there is this, if you haven't been in the business, there's this finish line that people think of. Like, I want to get into Target or Walmart or Ulta, Sephora, any of these places. And people see it as a finish line if you haven't been in the business on the back end. And I've seen those kind of retailer triumphs, like where someone's been like, we got an order from Ulta, or we've got an order from, Target, and people celebrate, right? And it is something to celebrate. It's so exciting to get a big purchase order. However, that is not a finish line. That is a start line to a new type of business that you're going to run. That is a start line for marketing commitments, dollar commitments. That is a start line for chargebacks. That is a start line for really having to be razor sharp with your, accounting, with your shipping, with your labeling, with your legal, it takes you to a whole nother echelon of admin, I would say, is really where it sucks the life out of you. Mm-hmm. And if your operation or your business is not ready for that level of admin and detail, I do not see that as a triumph. I actually see it as like it's something I fear for small brands when they reach that milestone, because it is a brutal world if you're not set up operationally to handle it. And personally, I'm not operationally like set up to handle like a huge account like that. And that's okay with me. And you've probably seen brands die at the helm of a big box retailer.
Yeah, I mean, the same kind of thing. Like there are, like you mentioned, doors that open. But that being said, the investment that brand has to make to be able to fulfill those orders can be huge, right? It's almost like you're fronting a lot of capital to even deliver on that. And what so many people don't understand is like, even though you're getting into, let's say, a Target or an Ulta, you are still largely responsible for marketing that product too, right? And so like, it doesn't ensure success. Like, oh, now we've got foot traffic. It's like, yeah, but you're still expected to market this brand.
Yeah. I consulted on a sustainable brand that went into Target, and it was backed by a celebrity, and it flopped. Even though great products, great price point, great formulations, great branding, literally had everything set up, but the Target's consumer was not the sustainable consumer. And I still think that is like, I still think that the sustainable consumer audience is contracting. I don't think it's expanding. And I think it's because people are tired of buying bad sustainable products.
Yeah.
But I'm a little bit like that too. Like at least I have my refill stores that vet all the other options for me. And I can confidently go into a refill store and be like, tell me about this product. Tell me about this product. And like, they'll gush over the things that they've curated for their store. But I think sustainability in the mass market is you're seeing even a lot of brands that used to be sustainable are now in plastic. It's crazy.
Wow. That's wild. Yeah. I remember once being in Target and seeing, I think it was like a loofah that was wrapped in, like you'd mentioned, like the craft paper. And I was like, oh, okay. Like I'm trying to, reduce some of the plastic, and especially plastic, like lathering on your body. Like flip it around and look at it. I'm like, it's freaking plastic, but it wrapped in like something that looks like crunchy granola.
Yeah.
But again, I mean, it's been there and it's been inside a Target for years and years. And now we go to like, where is it? Like Buff City or something like that, where it's like a little bit more sustainable, a little bit more natural, doesn't last as long. But you know, that's the price we pay, I suppose. But
Also, this is like exactly my point, is that you're smart consumer walking in there. Like, there's a lot of yous and there's a lot of me's out there that they're smart and would just rather be told this is plastic, or like this is, you know what I mean?
yeah.
Other than like this, chaos of trying to trick people into buying sustainably.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, there are just so many stories and I love seeing a triumph story after the big box retail. Like I survived that and I've learned my lesson again, not to poo poo those that have had success, but, Inc. magazine just came out with a story this week about, I don't know if you're familiar with the brand Lip Bar. But the founder of Lift Bar, who their products are in Target, she has another brand, which is called Thread Makeup or Thread Beauty. And her brand, she did in this story with Ink, is like really not working in Target. This is her second brand. Yeah, this is her second brand as well. So you think like this isn't even her first rodeo.
Right.
And it's so interesting because she went on Instagram this week and was like, I'm looking for a business partner who has an audience that can help me grow this brand and basically, again, send people to Target for her. And it's like, wow, this just, I feel like for, the average consumer, it's just like, man, they have no idea. But then even like brands like, Rowan, the ear piercing place that was in Target, and then they took it out and instead did D2C on their own, and have been so much more successful. And so I love hearing a triumphant DTC story too. Tell me a little bit about like sales. Like, are you responsible for retail sales? Do you have a sales team? Because you're in a lot of stores. And I just think to myself, that's a lot of conversations, a lot of orders as well too. But you're going back into retail, which is amazing.
So retail has always been a big part because it is like, I did want people to go shop in store and discover these sustainable hubs in their neighborhood. But I have one sales executive, account executive. She used to own one of the most successful refill stores in the country. It was called FD Market, and she was, I guess she was pretty TikTok famous. People in sustainability all knew who she was. Her store was amazing. But she used to sell a lot of dip, and she just had to geographically move away from where her store is located. And when I heard that, because I had a rapport with her, I was like, I'll take you, come work with me and we can build this together. And she has been working with me for a year and a half now. And she's the best thing that's ever happened to my company. She is the best. And my whole team is amazing. Like, I have my own manufacturing facility now. So I grew from just working myself to now I have a team of 7, and I have my own factory, and we ship from all our retailers and our D2C from our own facility. So amazing. It like reduces all the plastic involved in like palletizing goods and getting things to distribution centers. We do it all at our own hub in North Carolina. But yeah, it's just me and Jackie, and we're not like, we basically are a great team to talk to any small independent retailer, because she knows the guts and trenches of actually being in retail. Like, it's very different for me because I have never owned a small store, but she has, and she knows all of the pain points and all of the friction and all of the risk of investing in a brand like Dip to put on your shelves. And so she's honestly the best. So, my advice to anyone, if you're listening, find the person or for your team that like really speaks to who you're trying to reach in retail.
I love that. That is absolutely brilliant. And my goodness, Kate, you are just weeks away from your 5-year launch anniversary, which is amazing. What are you thinking about for the next 5 years ahead? You've already, kind of accomplished so much, but those of us that are founders, we know that the goalpost often moves, right? So what's in the future?
So I am working on something that is specifically for the beach. So Dip, the conditioner bar, detangles hair after surfing or swimming. And, it has a cult following in like the surf community, and also like the diving community, synchronized swimming, like all of these like little niche things, and swim teams said they all use dip, and it's like so cool. But I have like a new launch coming out. Probably I will showcase it in January for summer of 2027. Oh my God, we're in 2027 soon.
It's weird.
And that I think will open a lot of people who are not typically sustainable to get into the brand, because that's my goal. I take no joy in like taking someone from another bar brand. It's when I take someone away from like a Pureology or a Kerastase or like an Oribe. Like those are the people I want to convert and save a lot of money for and get them like accidentally sustainable. So I have a cool plan coming out for 2027.
Oh, cannot wait. That is so awesome. And in the meantime, Kate, where can people connect with you? Where can they connect with Dip and order your amazing shampoo bars and more?
Well, so you can find me as Kate Assaraf on LinkedIn. I think there's only me. There's not a bunch of me. And then, and I'm happy to chat if you have any questions. And then for Dip, go to dipalready.com and you can shop freely. What I would suggest is you go to the store locator that's easy to find in the header bar and see if there's a store or a salon or a surf shop near you that carries Dip, because it's really, we have to support these individual stores. And then if you have any questions or you're curious, or go to @dipalready on Instagram. It's where we're the most vocal. And then we also have a TikTok, same handle, @dipalready. And I'm happy to chat with anyone there.
Awesome. Kate, thank you so much. This was so informational. I think not just, strategically speaking, but inspirational as well. I think you have built a business your way. And I know we talk a lot about sustainability here, but you have really created something, I think, sustainable and powerful, and just really appreciate your generosity and peeling back the curtain and sharing more about how you did it, because it is not easy, but you make it look easy.
Thank you. Yeah, I talk about it very casually, but it is not easy. I don't want anyone to think that there's like that many shortcuts. It's really, it's really in a digital world. I went analog and it was just ended up paying off, I guess.
That's awesome. I love it. Thank you, Kate.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening. I hope this episode deposited some useful advice and insights to help you grow your wealth. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any future conversations. You can find more resources, episode details, and updates at growyourwealthpodcast.com. And let's keep the conversation going on Instagram. Follow me at Grow Your Wealth Podcast. I'd love to hear your thoughts, questions, or takeaway from today's show. Until next time, remember, burnout is optional. Take care, and I'll see you next week.